At the confluence of three rivers in India, two of them visible and one of them mythical and invisible, a festival is being held that's expected to draw more people to one place than any other event on Earth. It's called the Great Pitcher Festival. It's a Hindu religious gathering that's held every 12 years, and over the 6 weeks it'll last, it's expected to draw 400 million people. That's more than the entire populations of the US and Canada combined. The Indian faithful will take a dip in the freezing waters of the Ganges, the Yamuna, and the mythical Sarasvati rivers. One attendee said it was like heaven on earth. Another said people there were mesmerized. The festival is so massive that a temporary city has been built near the rivers. Reuters News reports that it covers nearly 10,000 acres, includes 150,000 tents, 145,000 restrooms, and as many as 40,000 police officers. The event will likely require more electricity than 100,000 apartments do in a month. Delivering your midweek edition of The World from A to Z, I'm Carl Azuz, so happy to have you watching. Our next topic centers on homelessness in America. The U.S. government recently reported that in certain tallies conducted between 2023 and 2024, there was an 18% increase in homelessness. It was the biggest year-over-year jump since the government began tracking this data in 2007. On a given night last year, it found there were more than 770,000 people experiencing homelessness. That's a record level, and officials say it's likely lower than the actual number because not everyone affected was counted, and it didn't include people staying with friends or family because they had nowhere else to go. The government cited several reasons for it. For one thing, there's a shortage of affordable housing in some areas. The U.S. has seen high levels of legal immigration and record levels of illegal immigration in recent years, and a series of natural disasters has also left some people with no place to call home. State and local governments across the country are searching for solutions that address the crisis but also remain within the limits of their budgets. Homelessness is a complex and politically charged issue, making a quick fix hard to find.
Word of knowledge. What is the fattiest organ in the human body? Liver, heart, brain, large intestine. Made up of about 60% fat, the Guinness World Record holder for fattiest organ is the brain.
It's what we tend to turn to in times of turmoil. Comfort food may bring quick but temporary relief during a bad day, but it can also have a significant impact on your brain.
The first thing that happens is you're not satiated, so you want more of that same food. So it starts to tap into your craving cycles. But the other reason is that these foods then become quite addictive.
Dr. Uma Naidu says research shows that foods that are high in sugar, for example, can also tap into the same reward pathways in the brain as substances like street drugs.
Unfortunately, because these foods cause high blood sugar levels over time, this over the course of your life can actually impact your brain and lead to things like atrophy or brain atrophy. So it actually is damaging to your brain.
Avoiding these foods can be hard. Naidu says the moment something is off limits, your brain wants it more. But she says you can trick your mind into developing healthier habits.
What about some blueberries in your fridge? A clementine with a piece of dark chocolate does phenomenal.
Naidu says instead of giving up an entire food group, your brain will do better with the 80-20 rule.
Which is 80% of the time be eating those healthy foods, and 20% of the time it's the holidays or life happens or it's your birthday, you're traveling, and it's okay.
I'm Mandy Gaither.
On this date in world history. A portal to history itself was opened on January 15th in 1759. The British Museum, home to the Rosetta Stone and a trove of other ancient artifacts, became part of public life in London. It had been established by Britain's Parliament 6 years earlier. An unusual disaster hit Boston, Massachusetts on this date in 1919. A massive storage tank of molasses, which could be used to make alcohol and weapons, burst. Part of the city was flooded with more than 2 million gallons of molasses. 21 people lost their lives. There was damage all over Boston's North End, and the city reportedly smelled like molasses for years. And this was the date in 2009 of what became known as the Miracle on the Hudson. Shortly after takeoff in New York City, a U.S. Airways passenger flight hit a flock of birds and both of its engines were disabled. The pilot made a high-risk landing on New York's Hudson River, and incredibly, though several people were injured, all 155 aboard the flight survived.
Win a trip for you and 10 students and go anywhere EF travels for free. This could be your year to unlock a world of growth for your students. Enter to win by February 23rd.
Speaking of traveling, we're making stops in several states to see who's watching, starting in Marble Falls, Texas, where the Mustangs are running free at Marble Falls High School. Great to see everyone there in the Lone Star State. Next door, in the Sooner State of Oklahoma, Mr. Burnett's class is at Woodward Middle School. The city of Woodward is the home of the Boomers. In Rochester, New York, we want to recognize Mrs. De Siena's students. Athena High School is standing tall in the Empire State. And we also have Mr. Rufo's class with us from Del Castle Technical High School. The Cougars are in Wilmington in the first state of Delaware.
Where in the world? This is an Asian country that achieved its independence from Japan in 1945. It has one border country separated by a demilitarized zone. It's a presidential republic whose capital is Seoul. This is South Korea, a nation of more than 52 million people.
For Seo Sung-ho, scaling skyscrapers is just another day at work. He's got plenty of experience, 30 years on the job, but there's one problem: heights.
At first, I had no idea I would do this job because I was afraid of heights, but I had trouble making a living and the job pays relatively well compared to other occupations, so I gathered my courage.
And I'm sure he needs to regather that courage every time he punches the clock and starts to clean the Lot World Tower. Located in South Korea's capital, the glass and steel structure is one of the tallest buildings in the world. 1,820 feet, almost 400 feet taller than the Empire State Building. And while people are showing up to work at their cubicle inside the tower, Sung-ho is constrained to his own cubicle of sorts outside. Fear is not the only challenge Sung-ho faces. Weather is always throwing cleaners' rigs off kilter. In a good wind, the gondola swings like a carnival ride. Weather can be dangerous for half of the year, so Sung-ho and his team have to clean all 42,000 Lot World Tower windows between the months of April and October. The team uses a powder window cleaner. It's made from fossilized remains of tiny aquatic organisms and polishes the glass without scratching it. The gleaming glass pays big dividends for the city in helping encourage tourism.
Many foreigners come up to the Lot Tower to see downtown Seoul, and I think I'm partially helping them to look at this wonderful Seoul with a clear view.
You don't usually see dogs in museums unless they're mummified and come from ancient Egypt. But for people torn between browsing centuries-old relics and taking Max for a walk, Italy has a solution. Workers will watch and walk your dog for you while you get lost in history. An organization there offers the service for about $10 an hour, but it's currently doing this for free at a few museums at a time as a way to encourage Italians to enjoy cultural heritage and ancient artifacts while keeping their best friends active and occupied. Of course, dogs grace the walls of art museums. Consider the works of Leonardo, Michelangelo, Della Calle, Renoir Murano. There's Sir Otterhound, Toulouse-Lautrec, Dognatello, Vermeeranian, and let's not forget Franz Bark, Basquiat, and Barksy. I mean, all you gotta do is Whistler, and they'll Van Gogh war howling to paint the walls. Or hydrants. I'm Carl Azuz, and I'm going for a walk. Let's meet again Thursday on The World from A to Z.